What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode here at TrailRax. Today, it's Saturday, it's nice and toasty in California, and we're going to do an install today. So, Casey's here with us. We're going to do an install on the Gladiator, and we're also going to do an install on the Raptor. And it's something I already actually installed in the two-door, so we're going to talk about it, do an unboxing for both, and then we're going to get right into it. Casey's going to tell you what we're doing. Casey.
So what's up, everybody? Today we're installing TrailRax. So we're going to do a half rack system, and then we also added their additional pack rack setup to help out for these long trips. So we noticed on this last Central Cal invasion and kind of really prepping for the Rubicon, that was like our pre-run, is the Bronco runs out of fuel. So 3 days camping is not as ideal, but fuel started getting low and I get nervous. So with the addition of the pack racks, we're going to do roto packs on each side and then also carry some water and then utilize the top of the Bronco for space for the bulky items. So the inside's not as packed, because wheeling with a loaded truck is kind of cumbersome, man. It gets me real nervous, and this system's probably going to help out a whole lot. The top of the rack will be loading probably just bulky items, the tent, table, a chair, and maybe a utility box, but it shouldn't be too crazy. So we're going to get started with busting this thing open and checking it out, and then we'll have you come along with us.
And then we're also going to do a full rack on the Gladiator, which is this one right here. It also has a deflector. With this being a truck, it does have space in the back, you know, to be able to load it up. But because I do bring tools, easy up, sometimes I'm stacking stuff on top of things that I need right away. So we wanted to put a rack up there. It shouldn't mess with the lights that I have now. If it does, we'll figure out a mounting solution for those. We're going to put a TrailRax full rack up there. And then we're going to do a half rack on the Broncos. So the Bronco two-door already has it. So we'll show you the differences as we go. But we're going to do an unboxing. This is from TrailRax. They are located in Utah. And honestly, their system is super awesome. As we open it, we'll talk more about it. Here we go.
That's not bad. So just see all the one solid piece of foam. And bam, there it is, dude. Everything looks individually wrapped. Everything looks labeled. Can't really complain on that. I mean, it packs up nice. So I'm assuming these are side plates, crossbars, hardware, side plates, hardware, and then probably the clamps.
We're gonna unwrap everything, put it on the table, and then we're gonna get to the building part. Alrighty, team. So we unboxed the whole thing. We put it out here. It's pretty easy, as you can see. There's not a lot of pieces to it. This is the half rack. It has the 4 bars. It has the side pieces where you're gonna mount all the bars, basically once on each side. It has the wind deflector, and then all the mounts and brackets. It also comes with these foam pieces, so that way it doesn't scratch up your rooftop, and then it sits correctly. So all the hardware is really, really nice and packaged also, so you don't have to worry about it being messed up or miscounted. And then you also get back plates. These back plates go right where the logo's at, so that way it gives it a better look. So it goes right about there. And it's not a lot of pieces. You do need a table, and you need a couple, honestly it's like 2 or 3 tools, and then you're gonna get it all up. So we'll give you the sizing of what we use, and we'll have Casey start building it. Alrighty, team, so we're starting the install now. The one thing that we both did notice, that we talk about this pretty often, I know companies are trying to save paper and whatnot, but we would like paper, huh, Casey?
Yeah, just because I want a parts breakdown sheet. I know you could look it up online, but it's always nice to have a piece of paper, because I like to separate everything. So these are like left and right, it looks like they're marked. Then these brackets are different, and then like I like to lay out my hardware. So like if you zoom in over here, you'll see every single different kind of bolt, and then I count them out, and I'm going to do the same for this package. And then throw these away, because sometimes you'll be building this and you'll be looking for a bolt and it's in the corner of the bag, yep. Or it already fell down, or you threw it away and you found it later. So I always like to put everything, I don't have a magnetic tray, but usually I put all this in a magnetic tray and then separate everything out just to double check in. Because when you have the instructions, it comes with the parts list and everything like that. So that's what I like to do.
And to be fair, their boxes do tell you, make sure you check everything before you even start the install to make sure that there's nothing missing. Inspect for damages, missing things. So it's not a knock on them. Pretty much every company is doing that now. When we did the Talent Skid place, it also didn't have instructions in paper. So you had to go on the website and, you know, look into it and whatnot. And it's not a huge deal. Like we're, you know, Casey's pulling it up right now. The instructions are pretty nice. Everything's laid out on the website. But, you know, us old folk like paper. So, but we're going to dive right in. In the instructions, it also does say to start building the pack racks first. But I think we're going to finish building this completely, and then we'll start the pack racks, because this is just going to basically sit on top of it. And it's going to be held on all together as a complete structure. So we're going to get this done, and then we'll start on the pack racks right after. All right, team. So now that everything's laid out and worked out properly, we're going to do it in sections just like the instructions say. So the first things first is you're going to put the foam backings on your mount for the top. And then after that, you're going to put these plates that are going to go right behind here. Then you're going to do all the bars, separating everything. It's going to save you time in the long run, and it just keeps you from losing anything. We're going to do stickers first, plates next, and then we'll start building the rack. All right, Casey, what's the next step?
According to the instructions, we install all the T-nuts in with the 3/4 of an inch and washers, and then we're going to slip the bar inside. The bar's got a track. This is extruded aluminum, so the T-nuts are going to fall in there. That's just so you don't have to hold the back of the nut. And this is the front of it, the wind deflector, so we're going to try that out right now. Hopefully this goes good. We're just going to line everything up and slowly just kind of push it through.
Yeah, so make sure that when you're installing the T-nuts that you leave them loose. You basically just want to barely grab onto it, so that way it gives you space to put the aluminum in.
Yeah. And then everything, just keep everything loose because these holes are all oblong, so there's a lot of movement that you can have. It just makes everything easier, and then we'll tighten everything down once the rack's built. All right, and that's it.
So that's the wind deflector. You're gonna build it and move it to the side, and then we're gonna start building the actual rack, and then we'll put that. That's actually the last piece
yeah.
That'll go on the rack. All right, Casey, what's the next step?
All right, so next thing is I kind of set everything up nice and flat. These are gonna be the 3 main bars in the rear, 1, 2, and 3, and then the front bar is gonna go last. But I like to use the table and set everything flat, and then I like to line up my nuts and bolts and then Loctite for each one. The instructions say to put a drop of Loctite on each nut and screw. So we're just going to do this side, and then we'll spin it around and do the other side. We're just going to utilize the table to help us out.
Yeah, and they actually do ship you a little tube of Loctite, so it's Loctite blue, and you're going to put a washer and a nut in 6 holes. And again, all of these are pre-threaded too, so it's going to be really nice. It'll sit nice and flush. So here we go.
All right, so we pretty much got this all assembled up. Everything's just snug or loosely tightened and with Loctite. Loctite is very important with this because they are aluminum, so the threads in them are not as strong as you'd be normally used to, like on steel. So it says to put in these 3 crossbars first, and then lastly you're gonna put in the front wind deflector, and then everything's boxed out. So you gotta keep everything loose because it's all snug, and then the wind deflector will slide over and then kind of lock itself in. So we're just gonna make sure this is all set up, and then we should be good to go.
Yeah, and it does say to make sure that the wind deflector goes above both of the rails on the side, so they made it cut perfect to it. So yeah, after you pretty much bolt on everything the way it is, then you start snugging everything back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, so that way it's all evenly tightened. But pretty easy modular rack. It's really, really nice. 3 bars, aluminum. The finish is really, really nice also. So there it is. We're gonna wrap it up, and then we'll show you the finished product on this top rack, and then we'll go into the pack racks right after. All right, Casey, what we're doing next?
Now we're gonna do the pack racks unboxing. So this is for the side panels, for the roto packs and all that other stuff. So we're gonna check it out, see what it looks like.
So in the instructions, it says to build these first, but we did build the rack first. It really doesn't really matter because you're gonna hook this to that. So depending on, you know, if you get the box at the same time, if you decide to do this as an add-on later, you can do the half rack first and then do this after.
Yeah, and everything's separate. It's all modular. So if you just bought the rack first, you could add the pack racks later. They actually make it so this pack racks will go on other racks.
Oh, would it?
Yeah.
So
everything's
it's all boxed nice.
Boxed nicely. So
as you can see, all the foam inserts are protecting everything. Make sure nothing gets scuffed. So we're gonna pull it all out of the box, unwrap it, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll start building it. Okay, see what we got going on now.
All right, so we're just laying everything out. We're assembling the pack racks on the sides. We're gonna just loosely put everything together. Then we're gonna install the lower plates underneath the hardtop, and then we're gonna work our way up from there. The cool thing about this setup is on these pack racks is they're very modular. So they're all cut out, pre-cut for all kinds of tools. You can put roto packs, first aid kits, storage boxes. I know some guys mount their power tanks on the side of them. You could do propane tanks. Everything's pre-cut, and this is kind of like just the normal standard size cut for like all the
pretty much all the overlanding,
all the mounting brackets.
Yeah, any of the overland accessories, a lot of like the mounts, straps for like pretty much anything. First aid kits, axes, those kind of things. This will actually work on it. Everything's made in the U.S. too. It's all stamped with the TrailRax on this side and then the flag on the other side, which is really nice. So the finish, honestly, the powder coating that they do is really, really nice too. So we're just gonna freely mount everything right now, and then we're gonna put the top on, remove his top for the first time. How do you feel about that, dude?
We're not removing the top. We're just lifting it up a little bit.
That you're breaking the seal, dude. You're breaking the seal.
I don't like that.
He didn't want to break the seal on the Bronco Raptor, but where you do have to lift it because these brackets right here go underneath it, and then these are not aluminum, these are actually steel, so a lot more strength, because that's, you know, if you're putting, what is it, 2 gallons of liquid on each side, you want to make sure that they don't fall apart and hit your window or fall off on the freeway or something. So, but yeah, freely installing them now, and then we'll mount it on the truck next. Alrighty team, so once you have your top all off and elevated, we lifted it with the bottle jack underneath there. You can kind of see our setup. You're gonna use this bolt right here, this bolt right here, and this bolt right here. So it's not gonna retain the actual top bolts, it's gonna use the ones from the fender. They're 10 millimeter. This should be painted, and then you got to make sure you put the extra weather stripping and everything, the foam, so that way it doesn't mess up your paint and it sets down correctly. We're gonna go see Casey. He's actually doing it right now. Casey, what are we doing, dog?
I'm just kind of laying out this foam on this thing. I guess this is where it's gonna sandwich on the top. I'm gonna use the excess foam that they give you and put some underneath too to protect the paint, just so there's a kind of a buffer between this metal and the paint on the body, just, you know, just for extra precaution, really.
Yeah, and what it's gonna do is it's just gonna sandwich, like he said, between the two plates. So it really doesn't matter if you put a little bit
extra seal.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you put a little bit extra, just so it doesn't mess up anything. It's just gonna pancake right here, and right here. But yeah, these are the bolts, so we're just gonna use a 10 milliliter, take both of them on both sides off. There's should be 6 total, and then the mount goes here. And then after that, we lower this again, and then we built the pack racks after we put the half rack up on top. So let's get it.
All right, everybody. So we installed this lower plate for the pack racks, the lower mount. I removed 3 bolts from the fender well, and then this plate gets sandwiched in between. Just be careful when you're torquing these 10 millimeter bolts down, because they are nut zerted into the fender, and everything's aluminum. So if you over tighten them, what will happen is you'll strip out the nut zert, and then you have big problems. So just use caution when you're torquing that down. I like to go evenly across the 3 and then slowly just kind of bring it all down. And then we'll keep going from there.
All right, team, so this is what it looks like when it's on. So that you see it, it's sandwiched. And what's cool about this is if you want to remove the pack racks, it's really easy. You're just going to remove a couple bolts from here, a couple bolts from there, and then you have your window back nice and sleek. But we're going to continue putting this on. We're going to put the whole top back on, and then the half rack will sit on top of this. Pack racks will go on the side. The only thing we don't have right now is our gas cans from Rotopacks, but they are on order. So once we get it, we'll show you a full product. We're hoping that by the Patreon run to Monachi Metals, those will be on, and then we'll take pictures and all that so you guys can see the full setup. But brackets are nice. They fit in perfect on both sides. No issues there. Taking the top off, you might need some help. But honestly, it's pretty easy. It's not a hard setup. And then once these are on, again, you don't have to remove them. Just, you know, follow the instructions, and yeah. So we're gonna put the top on now, and then we're gonna get it going and put the rack back on top and finish the setup. All right, Casey, what are we doing up here?
We're torquing down these things. You know, standing on a table, high elevated. You know, this is considered high heights. You know what I mean? 3 feet above the ground. I should have a full protection harness. But
So what tool sizes are the ones up top?
Up top is a 7/16 and a...
It's a 4, right?
Yeah, 4 millimeter Allen wrench.
So that's what it is up top. And what's cool about this setup too, the whole setup is 4 millimeter Allen wrench. So every single bar, every single line, to the exception of those nuts that go on the inside. And they're all, what kind of nuts are those? Nylon locks?
Nylocks.
Yeah, they're nylocks. So once you put them on, it's gonna hold everything correctly. And what that's doing is the brackets on here are pancaking into the roof. So once you tighten it up, it gets nice and snug. So we do the back first, and then we'll do the front. Everything else is pretty much already tied up and done. And then we'll hook up the pack racks go here, and we'll do that. We'll do that after. Safety first, dude. You good?
Yeah, the table shifted a little bit right now.
All right, Casey, what's next?
We're just fitting up the pack rack setup. We got the top rack mounted, we got the lower rack mounted, and now we're just kind of just test fitting it before we bolt it down.
So it actually looks pretty sick. So
yeah, it's pretty clean. It's nice and smooth.
The finish is nice too. So that's on a lot of parts. If you pay the cheaper prices on certain racks and whatnot, you start noticing the finish is what gives out first.
Yeah, it looks more. This looks more as like a textured coat.
Yeah.
Where some of them look like a bed liner.
Yeah.
Which kind of looks. Eh.
But we are going to put it to the test. We're going to be doing some tough trails, maybe some desert running. So we'll see how this holds up. One of our buddies, his name is 512 Raptor on Instagram. He's jumped his truck with this thing on and it survived. So we're definitely going to do our job to put it to the test. But right now he's putting the pack racks on. It's 4 bolts up top. Same thing, locking nut, 4 millimeter Allen, and 7/16, right?
Yes.
And then we'll knock that out. So we'll put this side on. We'll show you what it looks like. And then we'll compare it to the non-pack racks setup on the 2-door, so you show you the differences. You know, obviously the 4-door has a little bit more roof space, so it looks a little bit smaller. We'll check it out. All right, Casey, so now that it's completely on this side, you know what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
So what do you think, dude?
I think it's pretty sweet, to be honest with you, even though it has nothing on there right now. I like how they lined up all the brackets in one row.
Yeah.
So it makes it look like there's less pieces. And then how close it sits to the hardtop is pretty sweet. And then everything's like real smooth.
Yeah.
The angles follow the style of the hardtop. So it's, I mean, I know it's on there, but like if this was driving by, it's not super noticeable. It's very sleek, very clean.
Yeah, the stacked brackets is what like is cool to me. Like I don't really ever see this kind of setup, which is pretty sick. And then again, the finish is dope. And one thing we did notice too, that I'll show you guys the differences when we're done, is on the 4-door, it's a little bit shorter by 1 bar, which is probably like 6 inches, just because this back window is smaller, because he obviously has the mid door. So because you can still remove both panels, which is really nice. You can have the half rack with the 2 panels removable still, and I think that would look sick. So this one is a little shorter than the 2-door, but if you have a 4-door, more than likely you don't have a 2-door. The setup is really, really sick. It's nice. Like Casey said, it's sleek. And then what are you gonna do with it, Casey? What are you gonna put on this side?
So on this side is gonna, well, either it doesn't, I'm not sure what
What are your
side's which,
plans?
but we're gonna do 2 roto packs on each side.
Okay.
So probably 2 gasoline and 2 water.
And then what's the $1 million setup for the top? That the one we want.
So the top would be like hard mount,
The Starlink.
the Starlink, and then a solar panel for an auxiliary battery setup. But the way my bank account's set up is right now it's gonna get some chairs and some tables. And if we're lucky, we might put maybe 2 auxiliary lights on each side.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this rack, honestly, I did mine by myself, and this one is a little bit lighter. But how easy was it to put it up there? It wasn't
hard.
It doesn't weigh anything.
The only thing on this setup, the only thing that weighs anything are these side panels.
Yeah.
These side panels are all steel.
Yeah.
And that's just to support the weight
From
of
the
2 roto packs.
Yeah.
So 2 roto packs, I think they recommend 2-gallon containers.
Yeah.
So 4 gallons, I think it's 7 pounds. It's about 50 pounds each side. So they make these out of steel, and this lower mount's out of steel. Everything else is extruded aluminum.
Yeah, so it's lightweight because obviously you're gonna throw some weight on it. And then yeah, man, it's a really nice clean setup. You can't really miss with this one. If you don't want a full rack that covers the whole thing, that makes it super noticeable, and you need some extra space, this half rack definitely works. The 2-door is a little bit different. I'll show you that. And then we're gonna finish the other side, and then we're gonna move on to the Gladiator. The Gladiator,
The other side, how it's clean it is.
yeah, the Gladiator is actually gonna have a full rack too, so it's gonna be even more different than both of these. But this is the side without the pack racks. Again, you can't even really tell this is here unless you point it out. And then you can just add the pack racks later, so you can remove it if you don't need it or want it at the moment. If you're going through something that's even tighter than already your fender is, you might want to take it off if you don't want to carry the extra weight. Pretty much anything, so you can just leave them on. So they shouldn't make any wind noise. I've already driven mine. As you can see, my back window's a little bit bigger in the 2-door, but it's the same setup. It's a half rack. It stops right at the top, so you can still remove the top. So where mine has 4 bars across and the wind deflector, his has 3 and the wind deflector. But this is how it looks on the 2-door. And then that's how it looks on the 4-door. So we're gonna wrap this one up completely. We'll show you the finished product, and then we're gonna move on to the Gladiator. All right, team, we're just giving you guys a couple examples of what you could do with this. So we got these brackets from American Adventure Lab, and they had them on sale for 4th of July. So we've been kind of wanting to pull the trigger. They actually made them for like gazelles and tents and whatnot. But this is a chair. You can see how sick it looks up top. It just looks like it fits like it's supposed to be there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount that bracket onto here. This has holes underneath. We'll figure out a mounting solution to go under here, and then yeah, boom. It's just so clean, keeps everything away. You can put your tent up here, and then we already lifted this up and over, so it actually won't hit if you extend a little bit past it. But the pack rack is on, half rack is on. What do you think, Casey? It looks good, huh?
It looks good, man. I see a lot of money being spent now. I'm a little scared.
Yeah, if you want to make this look super cool, you definitely can, especially when there's companies making cool brackets like that. And
that, or if you want to add lights.
Yeah, like lighting packages.
Lights, or if you wanted to add, there's extra bolt holes for certain things to put more accessories. I mean, it's ridiculous, to be honest with you. I'm nervous.
Super clean, and look, Casey's been putting his weight on it, moving the rack around, everything, and it's sturdy, man. It moves the whole truck off. So yeah, we're finished with that one. We're gonna clean up here a little bit, and then we're gonna get the Gladiator done. We'll put that one up top and show you what that looks like. Team, as promised, this is a double feature. I just want to show you how the packaging looks for the Gladiator. Same thing, they did a really good job. It looks like that's the wind deflector, and then everything is foam, bagged up, and it's all there, sitting pretty. Looks like it's gonna be a pretty simple install as well. It's got all the hardware in a bag. Everything is labeled as it should be. There's brackets there, brackets there. This is all aluminum too, so it's really nice. It's not gonna be that heavy. That's aluminum too. It looks like these bars are steel, but these are aluminum. This one has a little bit more work to do, but it is covering the full length of the top here. So it's gonna be up here on the Gladiator, all the way across, and it'll just give me more space to clean up. Because now with these boxes back here, they do kind of take a big footprint of this small bed that the Gladiator already has. And then if I do decide to bob it, then I'll have extra space up there, which is kind of where I'm going anyways. So that way I can put either the Easy up, I can put my tent up there, I can put some chairs up there, and then just carry like a cooler and basically like our bags and recovery gear and whatnot down here. So it's gonna work out well. But yeah, we're gonna dive right into it. I'm gonna open everything up, put it on the table, and then we'll get to the build. All right, team, so we have everything pretty much broken out. He's separating the hardware right now, but the first step is to put the same thing, just like our last setup. It's put T-nuts right here, 3 each hole, and then it's this rubber bushing right here. So this little thing will prevent it from scratching that front pillar by your window. It goes all the way across. You start it from this end, and it goes all the way down to the other end. It has like a aluminum piece on the inside that folds in. As soon as you start pressing it down, you just kind of use your hand. Take your time with it too, so you don't ruin it. And then yeah, this part will be done, and then we'll move on to the next one. Alrighty, so once you put the wind deflector rubber seal on, you're gonna push one of the rods right through the wind deflector, just like we did the Bronco. And then after that, we're gonna start building the bars that go across it. So this is gonna be the final piece. I'm not really sure why they build it first, but it's just, I guess, so you can have it ready once all the bars are connected. You build the back first, then the front, and then you're gonna connect these bars all together. So it basically is 2 pieces. Total, I think it's 6 or 7 bars, and then the wind deflector goes up front. There is a lot of brackets, a lot of bolts, a lot of washers, so you gotta make sure you stay coordinated. Mr. KC definitely has it all down. So he has everything separated. We already put all the little foam inserts pretty much on all the brackets. This is what protects your top and your paint and all that good stuff. So we're doing that now, and then we're gonna start building the actual back rack. All right, KC, so what do we do next?
So right now we're just assembling all the brackets, man. So on this one, once you get all the hardware separated, it kind of looks a little crazy, and you start prepping all the brackets with the rubber and the foam. You kind of just got to put it all together. It's not too hard, but it's just
overwhelming. If you've never done something like this, it's best to, like what we did, right? We have a couple tables out, kind of separated everything.
Give yourself some room.
Yeah, give yourself some room, some workspace. That way you can see everything you're touching and you don't lose stuff. But what we did next is we connected basically the rails that are going to be on the sides. And then right now we're mounting these little
support brackets
on each side. We're going to do that to the opposite side also. We're going to snug those. And then, yeah, after that, we're going to start putting the rails that go across.
And then just pay attention to the hardware type you're using. So there's 3 different size hardware. There was a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and a 1 inch. So each bracket kind of, you just got to pay attention to the directions, and it'll tell you what size length bolt to use. And everything takes a washer.
Yeah, so we have our phone, and we've been checking directions as we go, step by step. But now that you guys are watching the video, you can just kind of follow us around. The first step, again, is setting up your wind deflector. And then you slide this bad boy in just like the Bronco. And then what we're going to do is we set that one up afterwards. We put the brackets, snug those up, and then we move on to the next step. So we'll keep sharing it as we go. Okay, see, what's the next step?
So the next step is installing the crossbars. We're going to put Loctite on all of these screws.
So everything that we're doing now is basically a similar setup to what we did with the Bronco. We're going to put all the crossbars into them, and they're going to get Loctited all together. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like there's 6 total. 2, 4, yeah, 6 total.
6 with the wind deflector.
6 with the wind deflector. So again, these are all aluminum, so you got to make sure that you're careful when you start putting the steel bolts in here, so you don't mess the threads up. But we're gonna Loctite it and get going, man. Stay tuned. We're gonna put all the bars in, then we'll pancake it together, and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, team. As you can see, it's coming together. Just one great, quick tip: put it all together. Don't tighten everything just yet till you put it on top of the Gladiator. Let it settle, and then you're gonna tighten everything up. So the support brackets are on, wind deflectors on, and what's cool about everything that TrailRax uses is Everything's the same size. So 4mm Allen wrench, and then a 7/16 socket, right?
Yeah, 17 shallow.
Shallow, and then you basically build the whole thing. So there is a lot of, you know, nuts and bolts. It is tedious, but it's cool that it's only one size. So you're not looking for a ton of tools, some scissors. That's pretty much everything that we use. So we're gonna go ahead and start throwing this on top of the Gladiator, and then start putting the rest of the brackets on. This should be a pretty easy process, and it is all aluminum also, so it doesn't weigh that much, but it would be helpful to have a second hand just so you can throw it on top of the truck, especially if you're lifted. So Casey and myself, we're gonna throw it up there and then start tightening everything down. Alrighty team, so we're up here. We just threw it on top. There it is. So like Casey said, once you put these brackets, the support brackets are right here, they're just gonna sit nice and tight pretty much everywhere. You just kind of line it up where you want it, and then you're gonna be using the pinch welds that are on the actual hardtop. So these little welds right here, these are super strong. We've actually put like whole families with tents and everything on it. Josh has tested his. We've had a rack before on this with a rooftop tent, and they're super strong. So just make sure that they're not damaged. You should be all right. We even set the Gladiator on its side right here, thanks to Nancy Jalapenos. But there it is. There's the rack. It's nice and tight. Then one thing I was worried about was the light bar, and it doesn't look like it's gonna interfere. We have some space there and some space on the other side, and even if we needed to, we can push this back a little bit just to get out of the way. But it looks like it's right in the center right now, and we're gonna start putting brackets on it. So stay tuned. Everything else is pretty much on there. We're gonna tighten these up and then put the other brackets and let it eat. All right, Casey, what are we doing now?
All right, so we're installing the side brackets and the grip plates for the drip rail. One thing to remember too is before you bolt all this down, you have to slip your carriage bolt, mounting bolt in before you bolt this up. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get the plate like this. You're gonna get a carriage bolt like so. You're gonna slip it in, make sure it locks out, and then you're gonna install it. So now you're gonna put it on there. If you forget to put this in, you got to take it all back apart. So make sure you don't forget that part.
Everything's working out nice. It's just hot, and we're getting it done. So stay tuned. We'll show you when it's all wrapped up, and then we just got to go back, tighten everything, do the same thing to the other side, and that's it. That's the full rack from TrailRax. All right, team, just want to show you what it looks like when it's complete. We haven't tightened this down, so this is still loose. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the other side before we do it, but a completed side would look like this. All the brackets, all the bolts, as you can see, there's a ton of them to put it all together. Which is cool about this rack too, like if you only wanted the half because you had like a alu cab or one of the other camper tent things, you can use the half, and then the other one comes up top and down. So we've seen some of them with the go fast campers and whatnot. These would work. So if you're looking for a half, they actually do offer it. But it's really, really nice. This is a full rack for a Gladiator. Again, I have a light bar, and because my light bar sits so low from the Project X, it actually didn't get in the way. So it's pretty nice. There's about like half an inch here, half an inch on the other side. This will vibrate a little bit, but I doubt that it'll touch, so I'll just have to double check that. Finished product's almost there. It's filling in nicely, and we'll wrap it up. So I'm gonna tighten everything up, and then I'll go above and take some more video of it so you guys can see the completed piece. Alrighty, team, so we just wrapped it up. So there's the final product for the Gladiator. Looks just like that, and this one is a full rack. This one goes all the way across, has a wind deflector up front. Super nice quality. Basically move the whole truck around. See it from up above. Just the quality is really, really nice. And again, it's one of those things that's just to help you if you use the bed for other things, or if you have a bob bed, that's a good solution to put stuff up there. I'm probably gonna get a couple more of those mounts for the tents and some chairs and whatnot. That way this kind of stays open, and then I also carry the weight right above in the center, which is nice. And then again, this is the pack racks for the 4-door shorty half rack. They also have a full-length one, and then this is the 2-door one. So there it goes. Excuse the dirty truck. We do use her. We just did a 4th of July run. We'll get Casey's final thoughts, and then we'll close out the video. All right, Casey, now we're done. What are your final thoughts with these 2 racks?
I mean, I really got no complaints. It's a little tedious. Make sure you pay attention to the directions,
especially on the Gladiator. It was a little bit more tedious.
And then make sure you separate all the bolts and double check the hardware. There's a lot of extra hardware, and some places it's just enough, so just pay attention to that, be aware. But other than that, it's just simple. Follow the directions, keep everything loose until you put it on the truck, and then torque everything down. Put Loctite where the aluminum channels are, and you should be good to go.
Yep, so there it is. There's his setup, and again, we're gonna accessorize it all and just carry what we need. Honestly, we bought these so we can use them. We didn't do it just for looks, even though they do look really, really sharp. We made sure that they're very usable, and yeah. So they're gonna see the Rubicon, Trail Hero, Monache, Doozy. They're gonna see a bunch of trails, and we'll see how they handle everything. But shout out to KC for sticking around. It is 100 degrees outside, and we just wrapped it up. So I'm gonna close you guys out here shortly. All right, team, that wraps up another video. Thank you for sticking around. Hopefully this helps out if you do pick up a TrailRax and it helps you install it, but quality wise and the usefulness of having a roof rack, especially the half racks on the Bronco, are super sick because we are limited to the space that's in there. So it's really nice to have them, but we are gonna beat them up. We're gonna take them out on trails and see how they do. Thank you again for sticking around. Shout out to TrailRax. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Patreon, all that good stuff. Go check out the podcast if you haven't already. It's on Apple Music also now. It's called The Gatekeepers. Listen to myself, KC. We talk off-road. We talk some of the shenanigans that we do during the week, and then we just kind of break it down and have a good time. We do have guests from time to time, but make sure you check out Patreon too if you want to support us. But there it is. Shout out to TrailRax again. Go check them out. TrailRax.com. We'll have their the link in the description. You can check them out there too, and then hit us up if you have any questions. But we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.